on the John Ross Show. We're going to have Michael Isaacson, Assistant Director of Community Health at the Kane County Health Department. And of course, we'll be discussing COVID vaccinations and other fronts of the Kane County Health Department. I'm going to just show you something really fast here, folks. I have something that it's near my studio, my home studio here. It's a Wurlitzer organ that I'd like to remove, and it can be yours. It does work, to my knowledge, and it does. Of course, it needs some more professional playing on it, but it's a nice organ. It's heavy. It's nice. Got nice wood there. It's a Wurlitzer 4100. So give me an email on that. It's yours. Just take it out of here. It's going to take some good brute force to get it out, though. It's not light. So I hope somebody can have that for Christmas and sing carols and other songs like that, and hymns and other songs around the organ. So try to get it. So give me a buzz on that at john@xpin.news. As I said before, we're going to have Michael with us here, and we're so happy. And we're going to bring up Michael now, and there he is. Got to get him on my queue here, and I got to get rid of this organ. I got rid of the organ at the same time Michael came up. Good. Hi, Michael. How you doing, brother?
I'm excellent. Excellent. Good to see you again.
Yeah. So we're going to have an update, and we're going to. The update doesn't come till we have a welcome here. I got to get my welcome here. We got to put up the welcome mat.
Excellent.
For Michael here. So good to see you. And it's a little warmer today, but they say the cold's coming.
Yeah, we've had some chilly days so far lately, but yeah, it was nice this morning to wake up to the high 50s. That wasn't bad.
I think it even got up to 60 maybe.
Oh, nice. Very good.
I think it went that, and then it's going down now. But it's no, it's nice that that was a nice feeling. And I did part of my gutter cleaning. Hey, folks, don't go on the roof. I did not go on the roof. I want to tell you that. And if you want a story on that, look up Green Bay Packer football, Max McGee. It's a sad story there, but we don't want to go on the roof. But that was so nice yesterday. It was so nice. It was beautiful. So but this COVID thing, I'll call it a thing. It's a beast. It's out there. It's still hovering there. It's not going away. I told Michael a little before we got on here, I got my third shot. So that booster, I'll be honest with you, I did have a little reaction there. I had a fever about 100, 101 for a few days. But, before I start, then that led to me taking Tylenol. And then after that, I found out that Tylenol was getting my liver, so I stopped. But I'm better. They took a test. It's fine now. So I don't anyway. Michael, give us a little thoughts. What's been happening? I think a little over a month ago we talked. What's happening there in the COVID front, would you say?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's a kind of a mix of good news and bad news, I think. As you mentioned, it just won't go away. We were on a slightly downward track for
yes, I know,
well over a month. Yeah, it was just lingering, just hanging on. But now over the past week or so, we've started to tick up a little bit in cases, which we certainly don't want to see, especially coming into the holidays and with the cooler weather and more people gathering. It's something that causes some concern. So that's some bad news. I think that we have that going on. We are seeing that still the people who are getting most severely ill do tend to be people who have opted not to get vaccinated. So Our plug is always for people to go out and get the vaccine if they haven't had it. But we're also seeing cases where people who are fully vaccinated, more and more are testing positive. So this is not a surprise. We're just seeing the vaccine, its efficacy is waning. So people have probably seen in the national news and the local media the push for booster shots. So what I would recommend is anybody 18 and over who has had their second shot, if they had Pfizer or Moderna, or if they had the one shot of Johnson and Johnson, that, because we have so much transmission going on in our community, not only here in Kane County, but the Chicagoland area, Illinois, a lot of the country, as a matter of fact, that we're all still at pretty good risk for coming into contact with COVID. So for Moderna or Pfizer, if it's been 6 months since your second dose, if you're 18 and over, going out and getting a vaccine booster is not a bad idea. The CDC lists some health conditions, including being a smoker, being overweight, as well as some other medical conditions. And then also the CDC lists some jobs that people may have that put them at more risk, such as working in a congregate care setting or something like that. But overall, because there's so much transmission in the community, I think it's just a good idea for people to go out and get that booster shot if they feel like they're going to be out and around people who may have COVID. So good news is the vaccines are still good, and the evidence around the booster shots shows that they really help. So that's good. I know something we've talked about in the past that I just want to touch on is some people are not getting their shots because they say, well, I had COVID last fall, so I've got natural immunity. What we're seeing, and actually we just saw some new research come out just within the past week, people who had COVID are 5 times more likely to get COVID than somebody who's vaccinated. So if you're unvaccinated, and you're trying to just say, well, I've got antibodies, I've got natural protection, that also wanes over time. So we really want people to go out and get vaccinated. And if you had COVID last year, if you had COVID at the beginning of this year, especially going into the holidays where you may be with family and friends in a closer setting, the best thing you can do is to go out and get vaccinated. Another exciting thing I think is that we finally have shots. Pfizer vaccine has been approved for the 5 to 11-year-olds. So we're excited to be getting those young ones. That's actually the group that we're seeing the most cases in right now, is under 20 years old. So it's fantastic news to be able to get people out. And as of today, we've given just over 5,000 shots to that age group.
Okay.
So we have a long way to go, but it's great that parents are bringing their kids out and getting them protected too.
I know they are. I've had some church friends that they were doing, and I've seen people posting their young ones are really excited and showing online, and reminds me a little of the polio shots or polio. I forgot. I don't think I took a shot. I think I drank it, and it's in the 50s. It's a long time ago, Michael. I forgot. I think it was a drink, but anyway, everybody did that, and pretty soon I think the CDC is going to say that if it's going to be 2 months, even maybe on the booster after the second dose. I think that's going to be coming any day now. Maybe is that something right?
Yeah, we're watching. There's a lot of research, and some of it, I think people find kind of confusing because they say, well, now you can mix and match what vaccine you have. You may see some news reports and some studies that say, if you had this vaccine, now if you get this other vaccine, you may have better protection. So those studies are out there. For my personal comfort level, I don't know that any of those studies are large enough to really base too much on. I received my booster shot a little over a week ago, and I had Pfizer. I went ahead and got a third shot of Pfizer. My wife had Moderna. She went ahead and got a third shot of Moderna. So that's not to say that we're not going to continue to gather more information and find out that mixing and matching is better. But at this point, for me, I think, based on the conversations that we've had with the experts at the state and federal levels, if you get the same one, that's also a great way to go.
Yeah, I got my booster about a week ago, and so I felt good about that. Now, in the last, I'd say 2 weeks, maybe a little more or less, the numbers have just been, I'll use the word tanking or whatever, uptick or whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna show the state today put out some numbers that really made me jump here. I want to bring this up, Michael. I'll take myself down. I want to move the bottom of the screen here so I can see that whole thing. But the state jumped almost 3,000 cases. Hold it. I got that. No, that's actually wrong. Actually, I got that wrong. I don't know. That's the wrong. Hey, that's the wrong date up there. This is not my updated site. It should be updated. Sorry about that. But this is yesterday. The day before, it jumped 3,000, and then today, I got it up. I got the wrong one. I grabbed here. It went up to 5,000 almost. 4,929 new cases. But the good news is about these things is the deaths are holding, and that hasn't spiked. And Kane County was up too. It was up like 232, about double.
Right.
But the deaths are holding still. So I guess that's the sidebar, that the deaths are holding. And,
right. And again, it's a bit of a mixed bag because we are seeing more cases. We're doing a lot of testing. Illinois is a state that does a lot of testing, so that's a good thing. So we're finding cases where there may be people who don't have symptoms, but they still may be spreading it to other people. So identifying them is great. Some people may say, well, if I didn't even know I had it, what's the big deal? It's not so much about that person. It's about now being able to protect the next person they may have come into contact with. But as you mentioned, we had today what was reported over double the case.
That's almost double.
Yep.
For Kane County, it was double about, for 232. It's basically been in the hundreds before.
Right.
And I don't know if it's been 232 for a while or that high for a while.
No, this is so over the past about, I would say 8 or 9 weeks, this is one of our top 3 highest days. So not good. And I can tell you our rate, we got down looking at our rate. So not the number of cases, but the number of cases per 100,000 people.
Right.
What they consider high transmission is anything over 100 per 100,000 people over the course of a week. And we do a 7-day average to kind of even out any spikes or dips.
Right.
But we were actually below 100 for a day last week, where the 7-day average got below 100, which is great. But then now we're like you said, peaking right back up, and today's numbers were horrible. So hopefully tomorrow will be significantly lower, so that averages out a little bit.
Right.
But if it stays high, then that's something we're going to have to contend with.
Yeah, and I noticed one thing, that the county, we're getting better on our shots. We're at full vaccination. I think it's 60. Is that about? Well, that's what I have for some numbers. 60%.
Yeah, that sounds right. We're climbing up in the with the booster shots now included. The state and the CDC have been reworking their numbers a little bit, so we're just getting some updated information on that.
I don't know how that means fully vaccinated. Then does that mean you have to have the 3 or the 2 or?
Yeah, right now it's still just the initial, 2? So the 2.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, if that's what you were in instead of a Johnson & Johnson and only one, but and I noticed the hospitalizations ticked up. Well, this I got on the website. If you want to see a lot of statistics on the states and everything, the New York Times is a nice site on that front. And they had, I think the daily average in Kane was 25. I think that would be the daily average.
Right. Yeah. So what I was talking is average over a week.
You
Right.
had over a week.
Yep.
And then they said that was a 67% increase.
And
So,
then I can say one thing too, we test a lot, so we find a lot of people who are
well, that's
relatively
true.
healthy, but also you mentioned the hospitalizations. We've had 10 straight days of increases in the number of people hospitalized. So again, we had a couple of months there where we were seeing decreases, and that was really good news. So even though the deaths haven't been high, unfortunately, a spike in hospitalizations typically comes before a potential spike in deaths. So
Right.
even though most people are protected because they're vaccinated, and a lot of people are healthy, young, so they feel like they may be protected, we're still seeing a lot of people who are sick enough to be in the hospital, and unfortunately, we're going to lose some of those people.
Yeah. So this next few weeks and how we look at things is probably going to be a long predictor of maybe of the winter. I mean, we got to nip it real soon here, I think. Otherwise, the winter might not be too good. So people got to get their shots. Now I got mine in double. I mean, that booster just before Thanksgiving. So you would be about the same on that. So we got that beat. But some others, there an article about children aren't quite going to be able to get in that way as much. But however, one shot's better than no shots.
Right.
I know that there's some protection with even one shot, Michael, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. We want people to do the full series, but
No, right. No,
for
but I mean, if
sure.
somebody gets just but it's better than no, but we want the double,
Yep.
if you take a Pfizer, it should be two, and Moderna the same way.
Right. But if for a young person, if we've got a 7-year-old who can go and get a shot tomorrow, they won't be done with their series by Thanksgiving. But like you said, they'll be starting to get their immune system going. They'll be protected then, by Christmas, and so I think it's the sooner we can get people vaccinated, the better. Definitely.
I think sooner the better. So that's a very good point. And we have several ways to get the vaccinations. Now, you have at your website, let's see, first I want to mention that you have your hub spot at Randall still, right? Correct?
That's correct.
Now, this site's open 2 days a week, and it's filling up though. So you're going to have to maybe look around on this. I'm going to give you another. Here's where you really can get a lot of information. The County Vax, Kane Vax, and I forgot I had the other one. They had about the appointments. What did they do at that one? Okay, here's a site that you can get you can find if you can't get through on Kane Vax, or maybe you can go to VNA or others. There's a whole slew of other pharmacies and et cetera, health places that can get you the vaccination here. So look at kanehealth.com vaccine appointments.
Definitely. And we're trying to keep an updated list of providers that are offering the pediatric doses as well. So for people who can get an appointment and come to our site in Batavia, that's excellent. But we also have clinics. You mentioned the VNA is doing a great job getting shots out to people. The pharmacies are continuing. Many doctors' offices are starting to look at giving the vaccine for the younger kids. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to get out and get their shots.
Now, I think we talked before, and you mentioned something about contact tracers. Are you still, there was a need on that? I forgot how that was. Is that still out there?
Yeah, it is a need, and it's something that we want to be good stewards of our resources, and we want to manage not only what the current situation is with cases, but be ready for increases. So just using the new cases that were reported today, those 200 some cases, those are 200 some people who need to be called and interviewed so that we can identify who they've been around and encourage people to take proactive steps to protect themselves, protect the people around them. As cases go up, our demand for contact tracers gets even more important. And so we don't want to fall behind or end up in a situation where people may have been exposed to COVID and they don't find out. So they may pass it on to a family member. They may be fine themselves, but maybe they pass it on to their grandma at Thanksgiving. And if we have enough capacity through our investigations and our contact tracing, then we can contact that person and get them the information they need so they can protect people around them.
That's very good. So they would just call the health department and say they want to volunteer in that. Is that how that
Actually, we don't need to hire more people right now. We have people who are trained in doing it. We just need to project our staffing as we look at, okay, what do we think this is going to be like in December? What do we think?
Oh, it's not a need quite yet.
Not for individuals. No, we have people who are already trained,
right?
That we have on board.
But it might be coming though.
Potentially, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what do you think about down the road here? I know it's hard to predict here right now, but
yeah,
what are some of the things that the county's looking at in the next months, would you say, Michael?
Well, I think a big thing is we want to make sure we get as many of these younger people vaccinated as possible. And then I think something else that we all need to do is, and this includes both the federal and state government and just all of us locally, is we need to start looking at what's our end game for this. I talk to a lot of people who say, okay, last year was really frustrating, but we had all these goals and we knew if we hit a certain test positivity rate, that maybe that would free us up to go to bigger functions, or if cases went down below this, it meant that maybe, I could go to a concert again. But now, because this is dragged on so long, I think people are feeling extra strain. One, not only because they're exhausted and have experienced loss over the last 2 years, but also because now it's not clear what the finish line is. And so I think we all need to do a better job and let people know what they can expect. And this has been a major source of discourse, across our country, where different states are handling COVID and have handled COVID very differently. And we keep people out of the hospital because we're pretty aggressive here in Illinois. But also you pay a price by requiring masks and by, mandating vaccines in different places and things like that. So I think that's something, and this is not for you or I or the Kane County Health Department necessarily, although we all play a role, but collectively, I think in our country, we need to talk about, okay, what's next? And specifically in Illinois, how long do mask mandates last? How long are we going to have some of these things in place? Because if this just continues, we're just continuing to see more people who are aggravated and burned out. So at what point does it become endemic? At what point is it like the flu, where we know we lose people to the flu every year? We know we have a vaccine that can protect people, but we don't shut things down and we don't limit things. Are we reaching that point? And that's just me echoing what I hear with different people I talk to in the community.
Well, it's interesting, but I think that day's coming real soon, but I think we got to put a halt to these numbers. I think we're losing 1,200 a day.
Yeah.
In the whole country, and people just gotta get their vaccinations. That's the key. Michael, I talked to a friend at church about 6 weeks ago, and he hadn't had a shot. He had asthma, 75 years old, and he just seemed reluctant. I don't know. I think he had bad information, but, I kept talking to him. I said, you should have it. It's no proof of, any problems really. And I said, basically, I told him to talk to his doctor. I kept saying that. And I did that once or twice with him, and another lady did too. I don't know if she was a nurse or not, but she seemed very authoritative. But anyway, this last Sunday, the guy came up to me and said, "John, I got my shot."
Excellent.
I go, I couldn't believe. I just was made me so good. And I also worked with another friend that way a few months ago, about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, and just kept telling her about the shots. And she finally did that. But we got to just get more people to get the shots who haven't had the shots. There are some that I know, one or two that I just don't believe will ever do that.
Right.
I mean, they've been brought into the conspiracy theories, and actually, they weren't conspiracy theories before they were even more popular than they are now. But anyway, I just don't know about that person. But I like it. They have a shot too, though. But I think we got to keep working at it, and that's what we're trying to do here today. Just gives people a little more update on what's happening. And so I thank Michael for stopping by here, and we're going to get these numbers down. We're just going to keep spreading the word about getting your shots, and I'm so glad the kids are getting their shots. Was that 5,000 at your site alone or total county?
That's total for the county. So that's
Okay.
our partners at the pharmacies and doctors' offices and VNA and others.
Okay. Well, that's still great. We will.
Good start. Definitely.
Because I know 2 or 3 of those are. So we got to do more yet. I'll just briefly say I don't know what's coming on Friday, but we'll see what's coming. We're working on that one. So Michael, thank you for so much for taking a little time today, and we'll spread this around. And thank you everybody for listening. And so God bless Michael, and just thank you for sharing about what's happening in Kane County.
Great. Thank you for having me.
So all I can say right now is God bless and bye-bye, and we'll see you hopefully on Friday. Bye-bye now, everybody.